Welcome back, everyone! This is Geronitis bringing you Feed the Beast 1710. Today we are starting on episode 23, and today we are going to do some basic trees and some basic bee automation. We want the basic bee automation because with basic trees we need bee automation. Well, we don't need bee automation, but it sure makes it a lot easier. So to start out, we're going to go ahead and get ourselves a treealyzer. The treealyzer goes very nicely right next to the beealyzer that we already have, and I'm going to need this out because it's got my honey drops in it. And the treealyzer is very similar in the recipe to the beealyzer in that it is the same with the redstone, diamond, and glass panes, but instead of tin, we are going to be using copper. Which actually makes me kind of wonder. Let's take a look at this. I'm curious now. Because so far it's been the same with the others, I'm not sure what the bronze would make. And I'm curious. Let's take this out of the recipe. What is the bronze going to make? Ooh, it makes a flutterlizer. Ha! That's cool for when we do butterflies. Okay, anyway, the way things worked when we were making the carpenter, the centrifuge, and the squeezer, one was copper, one was tin, and one was bronze or Tinker's alloy, and it basically worked out the same way. It was the same recipe except you substituted these metals. So I was just kind of curious what the Tinker's alloy would make. So yeah, there wasn't a flutterizer last in 1.6.4, so that's a whole new thing that I knew nothing about. So cool. Now we have a treealyzer. Okay, now the reason we're getting into trees, as I mentioned before, is because I don't want to have to use seeds. Seeds, unfortunately, they run out, like, rapidly. In between episodes, our squeezer has run through all of our available seeds that we put in it, and we only wound up with 3 buckets of seed oil, okay? So yeah, that's not much in the way of seed oil. So what we're going to want is we're going to want to make seed oil faster. Okay, now there are several things that can be used to get seed oil. Let's see. Seed oil. And here we go. Seed oil. And we're going to be able to get seed oil from the fluid transposer or from the squeezer. Okay, you can squeeze various things like wild cherries, or black cherries, or sour cherries. Are you getting a cherry theme here? But as you can see, cherries get you 50 millibuckets per. That's better than the normal wheat seeds, but still not the greatest. We can squeeze hazelnuts for 150 millibuckets. We can squeeze almonds for 80 millibuckets. 100 millibuckets for beech nuts. 180 for butternuts. And so on. 50, 20, 50, 50. 50, 120, 25. Oh, I'm going to freak out. Oh my god, you've got to be kidding me. I've really got to learn to pay more attention to my surroundings. Wow, that's a mess. I really should have been looking through this stuff while we were inside, not getting all my stuff blown up. Okay, so let's see. Let's take a quick tally of what we've lost. Because apparently creepers, and we're gonna have to do something about those. All right, so we've got the carpenter and the squeezer. We have lost the centrifuge is gone. It's getting to be nighttime. Have I mentioned that I hate creepers? We're gonna have to do something about creepers because yeah. Give me just a minute so I can oh my god, put all this stuff back together. We're going to have to build some machines back and put some things back together. Oh, boy. All right. Oh, man. All that seed oil's gone. Urgh. All right. Be back in just a second. All right. Now that we have that rebuilt, as funny as that goes, where were we? We were doing seed oil, weren't we? Yeah. Seed oil. Oh, creepers, they be creepin'. Anyway, so the highest thing that you can get from seed oil, 200 millibuckets from nut dew. Nut dew is a product from a seedy comb which comes from the farmed bees. That's not something we have access to at the moment. So let's see. Other than that, the best thing, 10, 10, 10, 10. There we go. Seed oil from chestnuts is 220 millibuckets per chestnut. I don't think we had any higher than 220, did we? I don't think so. There was one that was pretty close. I don't remember which one it was now, though. Yeah, 180 from butternut. That was pretty close. But I don't think, yeah, we don't have anything better than the good old sweet chestnuts. All right, so to get chestnuts, you need a sweet chestnut tree. Okay, a sweet chestnut tree comes from breeding trees, and this can be a rather lengthy process, so we're going to go ahead and get started on it now. To breed trees, you need to have bees or butterflies handy to be able to do this. We're going to use the bees because we've already got bees going. All right, so to get a sweet chestnut, we're going to need a silver lime and a common walnut. Okay, the walnut is a silver lime plus a hill cherry. The hill cherry is a silver lime plus an apple oak, and the silver lime is a silver birch plus the apple oak. Okay, if you need to rewind and go through that again, if not, we're going to be doing it very slowly, so keep that in mind. Now, if you look for the recipe for a silver birch, you can click all you want, it's not there. Same thing with the apple oak. Now it says apple oak pollen or an apple oak tree, basically. You have to cross-pollinate a silver birch and an apple oak. But when you click on these, there is no recipe for these, okay? And there's actually a very good reason for having no recipe for that. And the reason is that we actually already have them. As strange as it may sound, we actually just have these things laying around. Actually, I'm going to need these here in a minute. And impregnated casings, yeah, whatever. The reason we already have these is because they are the basic saplings that we already have once you treealize them. Okay, so a birch sapling and a oak sapling, when you treealize those, they are going to change. The birch sapling from Minecraft, when treealized, becomes a silver birch from forestry. Okay, so there's the silver birch that we need, and here's the basic information of it. Saplings, it produces an average amount of saplings. It matures quickly, which means it grows from a sapling to a tree quickly. It's a very small tree. The girth is 1 by 1, which means it's a typical tree with just one log pieces or one log trunks. Its yield, what it can yield, is the lowest. In other words, whatever it produces, in this case nothing, it is the lowest yield. Its sappiness, I'm honestly not sure what that means. I always thought that the sappiness was how many saplings it would produce. So I'm not sure about that. Fireproof, whether it'll burn, and whether it has any effect on it. Fireproof and the effect are new. Those didn't exist in 1.6.4. When we look at it in the secondary, it shows that it grows in light, it likes plains, it tolerates plains, and it has no fruits. Possible produce and possible specialty are none. Like I said, there aren't any, but there are quite a few mutations that we can get by breeding these together. All right, and of course the last page is just some general information. So the other thing we do is take the oak sapling, and when we put this in here, it is going to turn these from a oak sapling from Minecraft into a apple oak sapling from forestry. Okay, and again, this is going to show you the basic things. Average saplings, it matures fast, it's small, 1 by 1, it has a lowest yield, sappiness, no fireproof, and no effect. When we look on the secondary, it shows that it likes light, plains, it supports palms. Palms is basically fruit. Okay, the fruits that it will produce are apples, and the family is palms, because palms are basically a generic term for apples and oranges and stuff of that nature. Possible produce is apples with no specialty, showing a bunch of possible mutations, and of course then the general information. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take these, and I can't move the treealizer since I have the open, and we're going to take these outside and we're going to plant them close to our bees. Now you may ask yourselves, actually you probably asked yourselves last episode, if the bee house can't be automated through regular means, and the apiaries can be automated through regular means or through intended means, why do we have the bee houses? Well, as it turns out, the bee houses, when you are using the bees, first off, they will not breed. Okay, so you can't breed bees in a bee house. Okay, so you won't ever get a new type of bee when you're breeding or when you have them running in a bee house. The secondary thing about that is The cross-pollination process, in other words, at the speed at which flowers are grown around or trees are bred around it, is a good deal faster when you're having a bee house versus an apiary, okay? So when we want to grow trees here and have them cross-pollinate, using these is going to make it happen faster. All right, so we're going to go ahead and place a silver birch sapling here. And then we're going to put one more bee house here. So that one, clear that one, and it's going to be here. That looks about right. And then from where we're going to put another bee house is going to be here. And that should mean that we want this here. Yep, that should work. And then we're going to plant one more silver birch over here, right where this plant right here is. And that should put it in line with that one. Yes, it does. Excellent. And of course, now the sun's going down, so let's sleep through the night. And actually, let me grab a couple of... Oh, wait, I already did. Sweet. All right, I'm going to make a couple more bee houses, and we're going to choose some bees to run in the bee house because I want to have some more bees running around these trees. So let's see. Wooden stuff. We're going to need some more than what we have right here. That's okay. We'll use spruce this time. Why not? Sounds like a fun thing. Put that across there. And we should be able to just go ahead and make ourselves 2 more bee houses. Alright, cool. Let's sleep through the night. And we should be able to go ahead and get these going. Obviously, even though the bee houses work faster than the apiaries, the more you have, the better off you're going to be. Okay? Haha, going to be, you get it? It's a bee joke. All right, so let's see. Let's grab a tropical queen. I got, anything that you see that's a queen are bees that I got from the, there's a creeper over that way. I'm about to hunt him down just to make sure he's not going to be a threat. Okay, well, maybe he's not going to be a problem. Anyway, sorry, a little cautious after being blown up. What was I saying? All right, the bee houses. Anytime I have a queen that I have here, it's because I found them in a village. All the princesses I got came from the normal hives that I found, but the queens that I have came from a village. Now, one of the things about the village queens, it's very rare that you will find a queen in a village that is actually a natural full-bred bee. Most of the time, the ones that you find in the village will have been crossbred with something. Okay, so we're going to put this tropical queen in here, and I don't want to get anything new out of it. It's the only tropical bee I have found, and they can be a bit of a pain to find, okay? So I'm going to keep it in the bee house because I only want tropical to come out of it. So when this bee dies off, I should hopefully wind up just with tropical back. Now, the one thing I didn't do is realize this. As I showed you last time, it was, oh wow, well no, when you're looking at a queen, always keep in mind that it's always going to show purebred on the queen. Okay, so it was a purebred tropical when it was a princess, but it could have been bred with any number of drones. So it's still showing that it's tropical here. We'll have to see how it actually turns out when it's over. Okay. Now the one thing I should note is the flower type is jungle. Okay, that requires vines. Okay, jungle flower type are vines. Okay, I did happen to grab some of those while I was out looking around trying to find some of these. I found a jungle type biome, found some vines, but I didn't actually find any tropical bees. Okay, the effect of these is poison. Okay, so these bees will sting you and you will get poisoned. Okay, this has a climate temperature tolerance. It likes it warm, but it's tolerant up and down both. So it can go to hot or it can go to normal. Okay, the humidity is damp, okay, but it's not damp here, it's normal, but its tolerance is down 1, so from damp to normal. So this will run here as long as I provide it with vines. And this is going to provide a silky comb, and the silky comb is actually something that I really want. The silky comb is going to be very useful to me. So I'm going to get this put out here, and it's going to want some vines to run off of. Thankfully, like I said, I grabbed some while I was out. Not an easy task in this case. And I'm going to go ahead and put some vines on the side of the bee house itself. And it says no flowers, but it actually does have them. All right, and that should get that going. Now, There we go. I was about to say, as long as I'm within a certain proximity of this, I can be stung. And you wind up poisoned because the bees sting you and you wind up poisoned. It is actually a very lengthy time for poison. You be poisoned for a long time, and it's actually very annoying to have to be poisoned for so long by bees, but this is what you have to go through. Now, there are ways to make it so that the bees' effects don't affect you. However, to do that, we're actually going to need the products from these bees, and so we have to just deal with being poisoned from time to time to run these bees in this location. All right, so we use the Sigil of the Green Grove in order to go ahead and get those set up. Now, let's choose something else that we're going to want to run. We haven't run any of the, yeah, let's go with Marshy. Marshy, Marshy, Marshy. All right, where's a Marshy princess? She's probably in the golden bag of holding. Let's see. Unusual. There we go, Marshy. All right, so when you're running Marshy bees, it's actually important that you have mushrooms handy. Okay, what we'll wind up doing, we'll go ahead and beelize these. And when you look at this one, it says that the flower type is, okay, this is a Marshy Meadows hybrid. Okay, the dominant one, active, says that it needs flowers. Okay, so this will actually run normally with just flowers. Now, the inactive shows mushrooms, but that's okay because the active one is the one that actually matters. So we can run this one normally, and we'll go ahead and leave it out here for now because it will just go ahead and run. Here you go, Marshy, and we're going to put a Marshy drone with it, and it should come out with nothing but Marshy, and in theory it will stabilize itself and we'll wind up with solid Marshy bees. But we'll have to see what happens when it actually comes out. So now that these are running and stinging the crap out of me, stop it, guys. Basically what we're going to be looking for is any odd places in the leaves of these trees. The bees are actually, going up to the leaves and they're cross-pollinating them. Basically, they're going from, you don't see this actually, but this is how it actually works in real life. They go to the tree, they get pollen from the tree as it buds in the spring, and then they'll go to another tree, and as they're gathering pollen from another tree, they will leave the pollen from the tree they were on previously. They'll get mixed together, and that's how you wind up with cross-pollination. Okay, which is basically what we're going to be doing here. Yes, I went a little technical on you. Get over it. So basically, these bees are going to take the apple oak trees, and they're going to go with the silver birch trees, and you're going to wind up with mutations. And we're going to be hoping for a silver lime mutation. This is going to take a little bit of time, so while we're letting that run, we're going to go ahead and set up the basic automation of the apiaries that we have nearby. And I got my shovel out specifically for this, so why don't we actually use the shovel? Alright, so we're going to go ahead and set these up to constantly have bees processing. The reason being is because there's a lot of products that the bees are going to produce that we are going to want to get our hands on. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get this started. Now, the basic automation of bees, while we're waiting for the trees to cross-pollinate, we're going to use the basic item conduits. Now, you can use this with any number of things. You can use extra utilities, item transfer nodes. You can use the conduits from here. You can use buildcraft pipes. You can use pretty much any pipes that will move items around. In this case, we're going to use these, well, honestly, because they're handy. That's really the only reason I have to use these is because I have them handy and I can configure them fairly easily. So we're going to go ahead and toss these in here and get some basic stuff going. Basically, the way these work is when you place these next to it, you can see they automatically attach to the apiary. Now, if we were to go over here and place these next to the bee house, you can see that they don't attach. Okay, not only do they not attach, but we actually can't force them to attach even. Okay, if we configure this by shift left clicking on it, it actually won't even let us configure because it doesn't show that there is anything that it can connect to. So it can't configure to something if it literally shows nothing there to connect to. Okay, so that's, again, you can automate these. You can probably use Pneumaticraft drones. I know you can use Computercraft turtles to input and output items from the inventories of those. I'm just not going to, put that much effort into it. I just don't care to try to automate those that much. I really don't need to. So we're going to go ahead and shift left click on this, and we're going to change this to insert. Same with all of these, because we want it to insert at the bottom of this, all right? And the reason God, that's getting annoying. Anyway, we want to go ahead and insert at the bottom of this and extract out the back. You can actually do it whichever way you want to. These aren't actually sided. All the sides are the same except for the top. I mean, obviously it's top and bottom, but left, right, front, back. You can go whichever way you want, and you can call whichever side you want. It doesn't really matter. So let's see, change this one to insert. All right, so the way any basic pipe works, I thought I heard something for a second there. The way any basic pipe works, and I went ahead and have a princess here that is sitting ready to go, so I can illustrate this as soon as we get it going. We're going to go ahead. Actually, you know what? I think I'd rather put these in the dirt in front of these. Make it easier to configure the pipe. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and put, each of these will have their own chest, and I'll explain why they each have their own chest here in just a second. Wow, that went deeper than I expected it to. Anyway, each of them have their own chest, and we're going to go ahead and configure these to have the items go into said chests. Okay, again, because everything else automatically configures to input, but for some reason EnderIO always configures to output by default. So keep that in mind. Always keep an eye on your arrows because it will drive you crazy trying to figure out why these things don't work. All right, so the way that any basic item pipe works is it will extract from the inventory that you're pulling out of. In this case, we're pulling out of the side of the apiary, and it will automatically go to the closest available inventory that will accept it. Okay, so if it's being pulled out here, the next closest available inventory is now right here because we've configured this to input at the bottom. Okay, so when we go over here, and we can shift left click on this with the Yeta wrench, or we can right click on the conduit connector here on the bottom, and we change this, it is to extract, it's only active with a signal. So I'm going to right click here, and that's going to roll it around to always active. Now, as you saw before, the princess and drones were sitting here. What it does is it pulls the princess and the drone out, it cycles them to the closest available inventory, and that closest available inventory is the apiary itself yet again. Okay, so now you might ask yourself, why did only one drone wind up there? Well, when the product came out of the apiary, it came out with a princess and two different types of drones. Okay, there is some sort of minor difference between that drone that was used and the drone that was not. Okay, now it pulled the princess and the two drones out of here. It pulled the princess and then each of the drones, or each of the drones and then the princess, it doesn't really matter. And it looked in this inventory and it said, okay, I have a spot here for the princess and a spot here for the drone. Okay, so the princess went here, and then the first drone that came along went into this space. The second drone then came along and it said, well, let's stack these drones together. Oh, nope, I can't stack them together, so there's no space left in this apiary for a drone to go. So since it didn't have a place for the drone to go, it went to the next available inventory, which was the chest. Okay, the products that the bees produce, nothing can go into the apiary except the princess and the drone, so any products that are produced here will then be going down into the chest. Okay, now the fact that the item pipes work that way makes it so that each of these have to have their own chest. Now, under normal circumstances, you could just run all the item pipes together, have one big chest at the end, and then it would automatically get them to the chest. The problem is that each of these apiaries has inventory spaces, and you can accidentally crossbreed your bees. So unless you purposely want to crossbreed, you have to be kind of careful about doing that. Alright, so this is a pristine stock forest queen. When you are automating your bees in this way, you really want to try to keep pristine bees here, because if you're going to be running them and not paying strict attention to them, then you want to be able to know that your princesses aren't going to disappear. Okay, because like I said in last episode, when you have the ignoble trait, it means that sometimes the queen will die off without leaving a princess. When you have pristine, that will never happen. So since I'm going to be running these continuously going around and around, we're going to go ahead and put them as just normal everyday bees with the pristine trait. All right, so these are going to be automated. They're going to continue to run. I'm going to pick out some bees, and I'm going to go ahead and get them set up in these apiaries. I'm going to go ahead and automate the rest of these apiaries as well, and we will go ahead and get that going. So give me just a minute, and I'll get these set up, and hopefully by the time I get done setting these up, we'll have our first mutations on these trees. So we'll be right back. Alrighty, got all of my bees working, and I went ahead and did a couple of variations. Here we have pristine forest. Here we have pristine meadows. This one was cultivated. This one was actually out of one of the bees, one of the hives from the apiaries. Good lord. One of the apiaries from the village. So this is not pure cultivated. I'm not sure exactly what it's going to wind up being when it comes out. But we'll see what happens. I'm just going to leave it to auto cycle. If I wind up with cultivated bees, then I do. We'll get into bee breeding and how that works at some point. We got a Meadows Queen here with a common drone. I'm hoping to get some common bees out of that. And unusual with unusual and some very other basic ones. Here we have water, and the water bees require lily pads. So I went ahead and put a lily pad out for them to go ahead and work. And then we will let this thing roll for just a little bit, and then we'll check in on it and see how things look. Ooh, comb. Ooh, comb. Mossy comb. Oh, that's right, because she's marshy, requiring flowers. Chances are that when she goes back through, she'll just be a straight marshy one. So we'll need to put some mushrooms, because their flower preference is mushrooms. So let's go ahead and put a mushroom under there real quick, just to... There we go. Now, mushrooms, as you know, require a certain darkness to be able to be put out. So what we're going to wind up doing is we're going to actually go underneath here, and we're going to dig ourselves a nice little hole to stand in, and we're going to put dirt over our head so that it's dark enough to place this. Now that it's placed, I should be able to dig back up and out, and it won't come undone. If I didn't close the dirt in over my head, it would not have been able to have that be placed. So now we have a mushroom under there, and these will actually see underneath the ground to be able to do something with that. So good. We have the bees running. Everything looks good. Now, since we have a couple of other things that we have here, one of the things that we're going to need to fully automate bees and have them do the way that I want them to is we're going to need to make some apiarists pipes, okay? So if we look up apiary, we have the apiarist's pipe. The apiarist's pipe is a simple diamond transport pipe from Buildcraft along with some propolis. Okay, propolis is something that we're going to need lots of, and it's actually not that easy to come by early on. That's why I was being so careful with the tropical princess, or with the tropical queen in this case anyway. Propolis comes from very few things. One thing that comes from is a stringy comb. Another thing is a silky propolis, okay? Along with, of course, you have a chance when you squeeze honey drops, you have a 5% chance of getting propolis, and that's pretty much it. Oh, wait. Sorry. Wrong. Here we go. You can also get it from forgotten combs, furtive combs, but also 20% and 50% chances there as well. Burning propolis and breezy propolis, all from different versions of bees that we don't have access to at the moment. So early on, before you get to breeding, you want to get propolis from silky propolis. Silky propolis comes from silky combs, and silky combs come from the basic bee tropical. So you have a 20% chance of it producing silky combs, and that's actually what we really want. So here we have our first silky comb. Let's go ahead and centrifuge this real quick and see if we get some silky propolis. As we saw before, the silky propolis chance of getting a silky propolis is 80%, and when you process the silky propolis, you have a 10% chance of getting propolis from the silky propolis. So there we got the silky propolis, but we only have a 10% chance of getting the actual propolis. Instead, we got the silk wisp. So as you might imagine, we're going to take a while to go ahead and get enough propolis to be able to be useful. Later on, we'll have so much that we won't be able to know what to do with it, but, whatever. Mossy combs, honey drop and beeswax, nothing special there. We can just go ahead and put these through the centrifuge as well. So as you can see, I want to try to get as many tropical bees running as I can and let them continue to do their work. All right, so now let's see. There happens to be a mutation that we can see on these trees. Okay, since that's what we were waiting for, let's show you guys. You can see that this leaf set right here does not look the same as the others, okay? That is showing that it has a mutation. Now, it's not always going to show like that. Sometimes it's actually very hard to see. So in this case, what we need to do is make something that's going to make it easier to see when these things are going to be mutated. To do that, we're going to make ourselves... Oh, wait a minute. No, it's 1 piece of alloy and 2 panes. I was trying to... whatever. Anyway, so we should be able to make this into a pair of spectacles. Oh, I even remembered the thing right. All right, spectacles are from forestry, and spectacles are used in order to see the changes in the trees. Let me walk out here real quick so you can actually see the difference as I put them on. When we look at these, you can see that that one looks a little bit strange, but when you put the spectacles on in your helmet slot, you will notice a distinct difference. That is a lot easier to see. Without, with. So yes, that's very much easier to see, and if we look around, oh look at that, yeah, there's actually quite a few mutations here, and these are all going to be useful to try to get a new type of tree, okay? So when it comes time to get these, we can just break the leaf block with our, with anything, our bare hand or whatever, but as you know, when you're doing that, you only have a small percentage chance of getting a sapling. And we don't want to take a small percentage chance. This takes a long time to get mutations done. So we want to make sure we get a sapling every time we break a leaf. A mutated leaf anyway. Okay, so in order to do that, we're going to go ahead and make another item. Now, the thing about it is, it wouldn't be that big a deal if you get a sapling every time. But the problem is that just because it has a mutation doesn't mean that it is the mutation that we want. And that's why we want to make sure that we never waste any opportunity to get a sapling out of these. So we're going to be making what's called a grafter. Okay, a grafter is just some sticks and some bronze, and that's going to get you the grafters. The grafters are used to guarantee you a sapling drop off of forestry type trees. Okay, oh look, we got another one right there that happened while we were doing that. So now we're going to go ahead and break this leaf with the grafter. And look at that. We got a tree, or sapling. We wound up with a common beech sapling. Well, beech isn't what we were looking for, but, it's a new type of tree, and that's always good. So we'll break that one, and we wound up with not only another common beech type, but another one that's exactly the same as that one over there. Here we wound up with just a normal apple oak sapling, and you might wonder, well, if it's just an apple oak sapling, how is that a mutation? Well, the fact is that it is no longer just an apple oak sapling, it is an apple oak silver birch hybrid. Okay, so it's not a pure apple oak tree, so that is going to change. So keep in mind now that your grafters do not work for a very long time. You get a very few particular, a few breaks. But there is our silver lime sapling. That is exactly what we wanted out of this particular setup. Let's break a couple more and see what else we might get. That looks like another common beech. That's another apple oak variation. I would like to get 2 of these silver limes. Nope, we're definitely getting some beech. So we should be able to get some beech nuts at least for starters. Let's get inside and sleep through the night real quick, and let's analyze these trees. Now, as we saw before, when we're trying to get to chestnuts, the first thing that we are going to want is to go from these two. We're going to get whatever. It's easier to look at it this way. Walnut sapling requires the hill cherry and the silver lime. The silver lime being the base for this. And the silver lime plus the silver birch is going to get us a 10% chance of getting the hill cherry. So that being the case, if we've got our silver lime, we really no longer need one of the two. Now, silver lime plus apple oak or plus silver birch is going to get us the hill cherries, so we really only need the silver lime and one other of those two that we have out there. So we're running over on the episode. I'm okay with that for the moment. We're going to go ahead and plant this silver lime tree real quick, and we're going to go ahead and chop down a couple of these others. I'm going to chop down the birch trees. Yeah, why not? The birch trees. So we're going to break those down and break this down. And I'm going to go ahead. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to chop them all down. That way I can clear these out rather quickly. All right, with them all chopped down, I can actually just use my horn of the canopy to clear away all the leaves really quickly instead of having to wait for them to naturally break down. This is just going to make this process a little bit faster. Okay, since we already have extra apple oak saplings, and that's what we're going to be using, we're going to plant the silver lime sapling there, and we're going to go ahead over here, grab our pure apple oak saplings, and we're going to go ahead and... where did I put them? I thought I put them in here. Did I put them in here? No. Maybe I put them in here. Yeah, there they are. All right, so we're going to go ahead, and I'm just going to go ahead and sort these off to the side for the moment. And we're going to get 2 apple oak saplings that are pure. I'm just going to pretty much trash the other ones. I don't want to keep a bunch of trees laying around that don't necessarily have a specific thing that they're going to be used for. Now, because I only got 1 silver lime sapling, we're going to go ahead and force this one to grow and get ourselves another sapling for the other side. Alright, so because this is a forestry tree, we can go ahead and use the grafter to break one of the leaves, and we're guaranteed to get another sapling. So, hooray! Now we can plant this one over here, and we will be able to have the secondary silver lime, okay? So now that we've got that all together, let's go ahead and die from poison because my bees hate me. But anyway, we'll go ahead and let these be growing. And now we should have these trees. And now these trees will go ahead and cross-pollinate. And hopefully we'll get some hill cherry. So we'll come back next episode. Next episode, I might get into some auto mining. We might do some more tree breeding, although the tree breeding is something that's going to be done, in between sections, so we'll just have to see how that turns out. This takes a long time, like I said. So we'll check in on the trees and the bees next time and possibly get into some auto mining. We'll have to see how that's going to work out. So until next time, this is Jeronitis signing off on episode 23 of my Let's Play series. Like me if you like me, subscribe if you want to see what we get into next, and as always, help spread the gaming!